If you could only pick one IM race to do for the rest of your career, would you pick the 2 or the 4 or the 100 IM?
I would say the 4 because it's harder to be good at it.
Welcome to Social Cake. I'm Brian Lundquist. We got a full crew: Luke Paddington, Dr. John Mullen, and joining us fresh off of his World Championship medal haul, Carson Foster.
Hey.
Hello.
What's up, Carson? How are you, man? Good to see you.
I'm great. It's good to see you guys too. I get back into Austin and back training with my friends, and it's been a good week coming off Worlds.
Well, you gotta, so like you were just telling us, you're coming off Worlds, and most people after they have a big meet, they take a little bit of time to rest, but you were just rolling straight through. So give us the update.
Yeah, I have sectionals next week, and sectionals is something I've kind of been looking forward to all summer. Obviously, Worlds was the focus, but sectionals is kind of a fun meet that I get to go to and just focus on throwing down times. And that's obviously where I had kind of my breakout swim last summer. So it's kind of a fun meet where I get to swim with all my friends and purely focus on times. So I'm going to swim a couple different races I don't really get to swim that often. And then after that, I feel like I'm really motivated right now. I don't feel like I'm not in a position where I want to take a break. So I feel like if I took a break, I would just want to be swimming. So the plan right now is to just kind of get back into it, take a long weekend, maybe at the beginning of August. But I have no intention of stopping swimming anytime soon. I'm ready to keep it going.
Guys, the last time he swam sectionals, he dropped 3 seconds from his trials time. He just went 4.6 last week.
I will not be swimming the 4 AM next week. So
okay.
We'll never know.
I was thinking about this, man. You're so versatile, and a lot of people look at people with success like you in the IMs, especially when you're, near the top of the podium or getting medals in both races. Think about you as an IMer, but you're like this hybrid IMer, freestyler, backstroker, like best in the field at fly, you could argue. So like, do you typecast yourself? Do you think about yourself as an IMer? Or are you just like a swimmer who's been really, really good at swimming for a long time?
I would say I'm an IMer, someone who I always really looked up to as when I was younger, but also currently right now, since I'm kind of getting to the level of meets and competition that he was doing it at, is Ryan Lochte and how he kind of did all the 200. That's something that I want to make it a goal of mine to be able to like branch out of the IMs. I obviously stay in the IMs, but I want to be able to compete in the specialty strokes as well. So that's kind of something I might experiment with. Obviously, I'm going to swim the 2 fly and the 2 back at sectionals and see how those go. And I think those are probably my 2 best strokes. So I'm going to see what I can throw down. If it's something that I want to start focusing on at higher level competitions, then great. If it's not, if it's something that I'm just like, I'll swim these for fun, then that's great as well. But Ryan Lochte and what he did from like 2010 to like 2015 is kind of where I want to be in terms of my being versatile.
That's when Lochte developed Gia. So what's your catchphrase going to be?
I don't have a cool personality like Lochte. I'm kind of just taking everything like kind of like the wide-eyed little kid, like getting all these experience. I don't have the personality and confidence that Lochte had during that time.
Brian, be careful what you ask for. It might involve a cowboy hat or a hook'em or something like that. And I know you don't want to be hearing that as Carson's on top of a podium.
Yeah, man. Well, the Texas-Auburn rivalry that once was, I have to say, anytime I see Texas, I'm like, but my Auburn Tigers aren't competitive right now with you guys. So it's all good. So
they got some good coaches over there. They're gonna be getting pretty good over the next few years. I think
they're on the rise. That's very respectful of you to say. But
they got the right idea in terms of who they got coaching their team right now. So.
Yeah. Well, I have high hopes, and that's nice of you to say. I think that now with Texas and Oklahoma going to make their way into the SEC, that's the right way to play it. So good on you.
Oh yeah.
What does that apply to swimming, by the way? Like
it does. I'm not sure. We've heard rumors, and I'm not sure if like I'm really allowed to share them of when it's gonna happen. But obviously nothing's been confirmed. I hear something, and then I go we go like 8 weeks without hearing something else about it. So I honestly know as much confirmed facts about it as you guys. I think as of now, I think we're either going either my senior year or the year after that to the SEC, and it does involve swimming. And I know that Eddie and Wyatt are 100% on board. They want to make the switch. They want to be in the SEC, the more competitive conference. So I don't really have an opinion on it. I think there's benefits of both. Obviously, it's really cool to be in the SEC and to try and win an SEC title. But at the same time, I kind of like our situation that we have where we kind of use our conference meet as a tune-up meet. So I don't know. I think there's positives to both.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, Texas has been known for doing like that big December meet, getting all the A cuts, and then maybe, not having as competitive a Big 12s, obviously, when there's not that many teams. So it'll be really interesting to see how Eddie and the coaching staff there decides to move forward with it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if it has to be Texas or Florida, sorry, if it has to be Texas or Florida, I'll take you guys interrupting this Florida run. So.
Ooh, Florida, that sprint program that you were so impressed by, Brian?
Oh, man.
Now we can move on from bashing Auburn. We can get onto the Redbirds or see what Luke needs to say.
Crying Redbirds. I'm going to bring this up, Carson. I scrubbed your IG. 10 years ago, awesome. he just went 154.0. Like, 6 months later, he went 154.0, and that's the ad. And Brian, you were training with Ryan at that time, weren't you?
No, I never trained with Lochte.
Oh, okay. There he is. So
yeah.
10 years ago,
but dude, how does that feel, Carson, to be that far removed from a photo with Lochte, and he's still got his 154 posted up, and nobody's gone under?
It's incredible. It shows you how. And I was actually looking at the all-time rankings for the 200 IM, and I had no idea that Phelps and Lochte were the only two people that have gone under 155. It shows you how much a rivalry and like being competitive with someone can take it. And I think that's something that I'm super excited about with me and Leon, is that I feel like hopefully I'm going to be able to make him better over the next couple of years. And I know he's going to make me better. So hopefully we can push each other down to that range. Obviously the next step for me is, now that I'm in the 155 range, is to get down to the 154. So kind of working on, I think it was really cool swimming against Leon because he exposed a lot of my weaknesses swimming next to him in all those races. So I have a good idea what I want to work on in the specific parts of the races. But yeah, in terms of, that photo, it's really cool. I remember I was so starstruck when I took that photo. I swam at a meet in Daytona Beach. It was his Daytona Beach speed, their meet that they put on. So I went down there so I could try and meet Lochte, and I did. And yeah, he was, I think that was 2012. I think that was like peak Lochte, like when he was setting all the world records and winning the gold medal. So it does show how incredible that world record is, that it's still a second faster than anyone else has been aside from Phelps.
Well, what are some of the things that you learned from the meet this week that Leon exposed? What do you want to take away and work on now?
I think without sharing too much, I think obviously just the obvious things is like, watching the 200 IM, it I'm like, oh, that last turn. Obviously I don't have the underwaters that he does. I think that's something that's very natural to him. I'm assuming, I'm sure he's always had that. And so I don't know if I'll ever have the underwaters, but at least being able to clean up some of the stuff that will lessen the impact of him just swimming underwater on that last turn. So cleaning up the details in terms of turns. Obviously my breaststroke is improving. I was really happy with my breaststroke at Worlds, as crazy as that sounds, just because of how bad it looked compared to Leon. But those are my two best splits ever in breaststroke. So just continue to put a bit more focus into that, and honestly just work on all the strokes, because if Leon's weak half is his front half and he's still staying with me, then I need to do something about that, because that's my strong half, and I need to get out faster and try and gap it a little bit more. So it's kind of just all parts of the race, but I have certain things in practice that I'm definitely going to be focusing on, and I've talked to Ed and Wyatt about some sets already that I want to do. So yeah, I'm ready for those.
Yeah, obviously Leon had a great meet, but you Had a great meet as well. A lot of best times, a lot of drops, like you said, best splits and your breaststroke legs there. And you've been on the US radar for a while here, but hasn't had the international success yet until this meet. Would you say this was kind of your big breakout meet, or it's just been kind of slowly rising up here over time?
I would say this is probably my breakout meet. I definitely went through kind of like a 2-year funk where I had trouble getting over the hump a little bit. I think I rose really quick through the age group rankings and kind of was at this level of trying to get on teams. And I don't know if I was quite ready for it mentally. I just kind of assumed that since I was getting better or getting faster so quick that I was just going to continue to make these jumps. And I kind of ran into a road bump for a little bit and gave me kind of a new perspective on swimming. And I think obviously this this past meet was probably my best as a whole, my best meet ever. So I feel like I would say it was a pretty good breakout performance for me in terms of the entire meet. But who knows, maybe I'll have an incredible meet next year and I'll consider that my breakout meet. But I think for the time being, this has definitely been my breakout meet. Yeah.
When I swam in the dark ages, all we did was swim and train. We didn't do nutrition, sleep, all that stuff. And people have obviously done that in the last 20 years. And now people are focusing not just on their physical health, like I just mentioned, but their mental health. And it's a huge issue in swimming, massive. Depression, results from anxiety. All guests have talked about depression. All guests have talked about mental health in this show. Every one of them, elite athletes. Mm-hmm. You've been quite open about it as well, and you've worked with Susanna Mueller quite a lot. Mm-hmm. And I was really interested in what you said and what she's been writing about with brain spotting. And that, and forgive me if I'm getting this wrong, but from what I gather, those are symptoms of this problem. Anxiety, overthinking things. That's anxiety of things in your past that your body has subconsciously put behind, and you guys call those brain spots. And you work to try and figure those brain spots, therefore the symptoms disappear. Would you be open to talking more about that? Because I'm really interested.
Definitely, yeah. So she contacted me back in January or December, and at first I was like kind of hesitant because I was like, I don't have a mental block, like. Of course not. Like I'm fine mentally. I'm good. I didn't want to accept it, even though in my mind I was definitely like, backtrack NCAAs. I guess backtrack to everything. This is kind of what I posted is having so much success at a young age. Breaking Michael Phelps's national record when I was 10. And then you don't really see too many 10 and under national record holders like kind of keep going just because of I don't know if it's a spotlight. I don't know if they kind of break out too early, but I've been blessed that I've been one of the few that have been able to kind of keep the success going. And, but having spotlight on your name in the swimming world from a young age is not easy because people love to place expectations, on you. And for a long time that I thrived under that. I was like, people believe in me. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go to the next level. But then once it gets to the point where it's like really hard to make these teams, especially we're the best swimming country in the world. I mean, our Olympic teams and world championship teams are the hardest teams to make. So I began to put pressure on myself and kind of spiraled and was overthinking and began to think that if I didn't get this goal, my identity as a swimmer was going to be impacted, and that what are people going to think of me then? Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, I did have a mental block, and I think that came out at trials. I overthink at trials. Obviously NCAAs before it. I think a little bit of NCAAs this year. I was still trying to work out all those mental blocks. But yeah, like you said, it's figuring out what's causing your body to kind of, because at the end of the day, like your body's trying to protect you. Your brain's trying to protect you. It's trying to hide those emotions. But it makes it really hard to figure out what the issue is. And so brain spotting kind of just uncovers those. And I was able to become aware of what causes me to feel so much pressure. And then just really kind of do like mental therapy on that. And definitely the most confident I've ever been now. obviously, like I said, I know there's so much pressure on me now, and the better you get, the more pressure there is. So there's going to be more pressure on me now than there ever has been before. But I know how to deal with it now. And that's something that I'm really excited about. And I feel like it's going to take my swimming to the next level. And I know why I swim now. And it's not to please anyone else. It's not to please myself just because I'm getting these accolades. It's because I love swimming and because I'm obsessed with making myself faster. Because I think that's the coolest thing in the world when you can find something small that makes you faster. And I think that brings me so much joy in sport. So that's kind of I'm really excited about. I feel like that's kind of why I don't need a break. It's because I'm so excited about where I'm at and the process of it all.
You ended up the last minute talking about joy, happiness, excitement, pleasure, and the love of swimming, and that's what we've been pushing. We had a guest once tell us that, in our sport, we literally do sets to stop the pain. Our coaches try to bring as much pain into us, and then we try to tolerate the pain and try to work past the pain, right? And we train our body to put that pain aside and move past the pain, so we're used to that and create these environments. But the problem is that's also the part of the brain that brings pleasure and happiness and joy. So we're very, very good at also blocking out and ignoring our true self and emotions. So I imagine this is quite a long exercise you have to go through, and you're just getting started. And is it a lot on you? Like when I go to John as a physio, he gives me half an hour of workout, but it's only successful if I do the homework myself at home and I keep doing it every day. Like, is this a constant process for you? Do you have tools behind the blocks? Do you have tools in the hotel room? Do you have tools, in taper that exercises you do to help yourself?
Yeah. I for about, for about 5 or 6 months, I met with Susanna once a week over a platform like this. Obviously we don't live in the same state. So we would meet and we would go through our exercises, and she's been incredibly patient with me. I think it took a little bit longer than I expected it to. I thought it was going to be a couple sessions and now it's going to be fixed. But that's not how therapy works. So she gave me stuff to do, and she taught me how to do it by myself when I'm not with her. So that's something I do pretty much every day. I notice I'm much happier when I do it every day. When I go through kind of phases when I'm not doing it every day, it's kind of when I'm in my like funks a little bit. And so I do it pretty much every day. I mean, you can do it about stuff not involving swimming too, which is super cool. It's like if I'm stressed about a test coming up, I'll do it about that with school. So, but yeah, I do it every day when I'm not with her, and then at meets I'll do it before prelims, in between, after prelims, before finals, after finals. I'm doing it all the time at meets because that's normally when I feel the most pressure and stress. So it's something that I'm pretty much always doing at this point. It's almost like meditation to me. It's like I do it and then I can just totally let go of everything I'm stressed about and then kind of reset and get excited.
Did you do it before meeting with us?
What's that again?
Do it before meeting with us?
Oh no. I'm excited about this. I'm not nervous.
Good. One of the things I find interesting is that you're also talking about, back to the how you think about and reflect upon your performances at Worlds. That in some ways it's indexing off of strengths relative to competition and weaknesses relative to competition, and I feel like there's a lot of that perceived pressure comes from your placement, not so much the times. Like, you could be winning medals and nobody cares if you're breaking the world records, right? But then that pressure somehow inherently comes from how you perform relative to competition. And yet, I think there's a lot of people that when they have maybe some struggles or some doubts or hit some roadblocks, and they go, okay, well, let me just stay in my lane, and because I can only focus on what I can control. And it seems like you're kind of leaning into it, right? Like you're sort of embracing the fact that the events you swim can be heavily influenced while you're in the water by the competitors in the pool. So do I have that read right? That you're kind of going like, it's not just about putting the blinders on, because that's not really reality. So I'm just going to embrace the fact that like, this is racing and this is how it's going to go. And I'm going to be aware, and I just got to lean in.
Definitely. And that's exactly right. I was saying earlier that I was talking to someone else about how they were asking me about Leon and if I thought that he was going to break the 2IM world record after the 400 IM. And I said, I didn't know. I wasn't really paying attention. I didn't hear that before the race, but I guess some people thought he was going to break the world record. And I like to think that if he would have, then I probably would have been 54 mid. Hopefully, I think I would have. I feel like I would have gone with him. If whatever way he would have gotten down to that point. So yeah, I'm embracing it. I love that. I have Leon. I love that I have Chase. I love that my events are some of the fastest events in the world right now because it's going to push me. And I think that I'm very much someone that's motivated by competition and goals. And that it makes me excited. It makes me want to go to practice and work harder. And so I feel like I'm blessed to be in a position where I'm towards the top, but I like that I'm not. I like that I'm kind of chasing something still going into the next 2 years. So, but yeah, I think what you said is exactly right. I just embrace training. I embrace racing, and that's kind of what they teach us to do here at Texas with such a good training group.
Were you glad that he didn't get those records? I mean, he came pretty close on that 4IM, but were you glad that those didn't come off the board? Because has that been a motivation for you to keep those records to an American and you be the first one to get under?
I haven't thought about it. I wouldn't say I'm glad. I think it would have been super cool for him. It would have been a great experience. I think I can't control what other people are doing. If he would have gone 402, I mean, I had no control over that. So there's no point in me being worried about him breaking it first. Would I like to keep them both American? Of course, that's definitely the plan. If someone's going to break it, I want it to be me. But those are two incredible records. So we're going to do everything we can. If me and Leon both get close, hopefully I'm the one getting them. Obviously I want to keep them American. Yeah, that's the plan. I wouldn't say I'd be upset if he broke them first. Because I just can't. I'd be upset that I got second. But I can't control how fast he goes. So
I'd love Eddie's story. What did Eddie tell you the very first words when you came out of that 4.6? What did he say to you? What did he say?
He said, "I'm proud of you," and that there's nothing we could have done about that at the time, but we're gonna be better.
I love it.
So
I remember
because Eddie's normally pretty hard on me.
I remember when I was working with Sun Yang, 339 was the goal in the 4 free, breaking that record and kind of going through it all and going through the splits. When you are kind of setting up your season goals, are you going for smaller chunks with your goal times and you're breaking down each segment, or how do you and Eddie and the team go about maybe putting together goal times for yourself in a 4IM?
It's kind of a mix. I think there's definitely parts of the race that I want to improve on and that I have an idea about where I want to get down to. But I would say goal time is more, I figure out what I want to go and then I figure out how I'm going to do it. That's kind of always been how I make my goal times. I'm more of a big picture guy. Mm-hmm. So I like to pick the time I want to go and then I'll write down, all right, how am I going to get down to this? Fly's got to be this, back's got to be this, breast has to be this. And then I'm going to have to come home this fast. So that's kind of the way I approach goal times. Obviously with I have to make it reasonable. So it's kind of like doing it and then figuring out like a puzzle on how I want to split it. And then that determines what I need to do in pace and practice, what I need to start pacing for. So goal times are very important to me. It's something I've done since I was 9-10 years old.
And with this last meet, did you reach those goal times or were they still not to what you had set out before?
I was closer than I've ever been.
Nice.
I was very close to my goal times. About right on. I don't share goal times, but since I did get them and I reset them, my goal times were 4:06.2 and 1:55.7. So now that those are old goals, I can share them and I have new goals now. So but yeah, it was pretty satisfying being able to hit those and being able to kind of erase goals and set new ones since I've had those for quite a long time. It's satisfying, but I got all my new goals set out, sent them to the coaches, and now we work for those.
Wow, quick turnaround. What about the team effort? Because Team USA, even with Caleb missing half of his events in the week, still had a record-shattering performance with all the medals, and then you guys on the 8 free relay stomped on a 7-minute flat. What's your reaction to that relay? And do you think about that the same way? Like after, like either before or after, you guys sitting here going, okay, what's it going to take? What do we have to split? Like, can we get there? And what's the reaction to that one?
So as a team as a whole, and I don't have much to compare it to, is my first trip, like first senior national trip long course. But from what I've heard, everyone seemed like it was one of the best trips ever, which I'm so super lucky to be a part of. I think the captains we had were incredible. Caleb and Ryan were our captains, and they were great. And then Nick, Fink, and Chase also stepped up, being veterans that have been there many times before. So it almost felt like we had 4 guy captains, which was really cool. And I think that had a big impact on how we swam. But in terms of the relay, yeah, definitely. Like Drew said, like we were kind of on the world record hunt. We not only wanted to get back on the podium, but we wanted to be on top. And I think it would have been really awesome if Duncan would have been at the meet, because it would have been, I think, a crazy good race toward down the stretch, which would have been a lot of fun. And we obviously know that he's coming back and that Great Britain's going to be really good for the next couple of years. And so that's exciting. But yeah, definitely. I mean, me, Kieran, and Drew had talked about kind of the world record and what it would look like for us and how we would need to split it. And I'm lucky to have those two. And obviously I don't train with Kieran, but we're texting a lot, and he's motivating in terms of he's sending us sets that he's doing and the work that he's putting in. And in response pushes Drew and I to be better here at Texas. So lucky to be around those guys. And it's easy to be on a relay when you can trust that the other 3 guys are going to do their part, and that it makes your job really easy.
The best basketball teams these days are the ones who have the best chemistry. So the Suns, the Warriors, the Heat, these guys all play together as a team. And they seem to be, and it comes from top down, from the coaching staff, the front office, and brings that team so close. And there's no infighting. They're all supporting each other. And the superstars are looking after the young ones big time. I saw some of that chemistry of you and Chase, an interview afterwards. What was the vibe with the coaching staff? What was it like being in Croatia beforehand? Was it just, did you feel like lifted by your teammates and you just ready for anything, no matter they had your back, good or bad?
Yeah, definitely. And that's something that's kind of cool. It made me just smile when I thought about it, is when I first got to Croatia. And obviously I have known Ryan Murphy for a couple of years. He was someone who's been very good about reaching out to me since I was on the junior level and just checking in and telling me that I can always reach out to him with any questions. And that's always meant a lot to me. He's someone who, he might be the best leader I've ever met in any aspect of life. He just has I don't know if he wants to be a coach one day, but he would be an incredible coach just purely off of his leadership skills. So that's something that I look up to him for. He made me feel like, and all the rookies made us feel like we were part of the team from the second that we got to Croatia, no matter how much experience we had, which was awesome. Caleb, who, I mean, no matter who you are, if you're new to the team, you kind of get that starstruck feeling because he's Caleb Dressel and he's probably arguably the second best swimmer ever. So he's someone who was very relatable, though. Told us a lot of stories about how his first trips went and how he kind of handled it, which made us feel very comfortable. Obviously, I've gotten a really good relationship with Chase, him helping me with my IM races and letting me know how other people swim their races, what to expect, how to move from prelims to semi to finals, and what I need to be focusing on each round, which is super helpful. So, I mean, I can't say enough about the veterans that were on I know Nick Fink was on your guys' show a couple weeks ago, and he was someone who was really good about making sure the team had everything they needed, whether you were a veteran or a rookie. He was there to help anyone out with their schedule, even though he was super busy with his. So I think I know the girl captains were great as well, but it would take me forever if I went through all of them. But I think team success really stems from those guys and just making everyone feel welcome right from the get-go. And just it was super cool to kind of make relationships with them.
That's super encouraging to hear, and I think really good for future Team USA too, just because with the college rivalries, I think there can be a lot of barriers set up in competition that, it's nice to just break down those barriers and form one team. So that's super cool to think about, you guys sending sets to each other and all that. But do you I think when it comes to building that camaraderie, and then, you sort of transitioning from an up and comer to now have broken through on the international scene, man, you're in that seat now. Like you're a leader now, and you're showing it by example. I'm sure, in that team environment and in the pool every day. What are some of the learnings for you? I'm sure there's takeaways from some of these influences that you've just had that'll impact the way that you lead Texas, the way that, you lead as you do, as you make future USA teams. So, I don't know, is there any kind of tangible takeaways that you're reflecting on? Like, yeah, I can implement that, or I'm going to start to hone that in for myself.
Yeah. I think a lot of them came from Ryan. He was really big on celebrating, obviously, the accomplishment, but the meet's not over. Refocus. That's something I've always struggled with is when I have a really good first day, a really good first 2 days, I kind of lose focus throughout the meet. And that was something that I think Ryan kind of pressed all of us, is that it's a long meet. It's 8 days, and you're going to be swimming I swam day 1 and I also swam day 6. So it's like, I'm going to be in the zone for an entire week. And so I had to be really good about managing my emotions at night, trying to fully forget about the swim as much as I could until the meet was totally over, to make sure my next swim was really good. And just how supportive he was, and how much he cares about the success of the whole team, and how people take pride. I never really realized how much people take pride in the team success at these meets. It almost felt like a college meet, even though that we were so dominant at the meet. People were so excited about, let's see how many medals we can get. Let's break the record for how many medals we can get. It was very much a team thing, which was surprising. And I think that was something that Ryan kind of pressed really hard at training camp, but also at the meet. And then just also the way he treats people, like the way he talks to the coaches, and the way he talks to, people he competes against. And people like me. It was my first trip. And Ryan's been there. I don't know how many worlds he's been to. He's been to a ton of international meets, and he has every he could have just gone and done his own thing and worried about himself and try and make the world be a world champion. But he took time to kind of talk to me and send me a text throughout the meet and encourage me. So that was cool, and it just kind of shows me what I want to be like when I'm in his shoes. And hopefully now that I'm not a rookie, I can start moving in that direction.
I'll tell you how many trips he's been on. My last trip was his first national team trip at Pan Am. So that's how long ago it was. It was over a decade ago. It's been around forever.
Carson just explained the Hunter Armstrong thing. He wanted to get as many medals as he can, so he got a gold and a silver in the 50 backstroke. You see?
Exactly.
First time ever you get 2 medals in one race. What was that reaction like? The team came together for Justin. What was that? That was crazy.
It was heartbreaking at first. Obviously for Hunter to be we were excited for Hunter because obviously he got to be world champion after Justin gets DQ'd. But Justin was about to get interviewed, and then all of a sudden you see his name disappear, and everyone gasped, and I was like, what happened? And I look at the scoreboard, and he's DQ'd, and just my heart sank, because Justin's a great guy. Justin's someone who I didn't know before the trip, and I kind of got to know in training camp a little bit by eating meals with him. But he's just a funny, low stress, he's just going with the flow. He's easy guy to root for. And and Hunter, you saw how great of a sport he was. Went over and put the medal around Justin's neck once it got overturned. And I can't even imagine, one, on both sides, how hard it would be to be a world champion and then get DQ'd, lose it, and then get it back, the roller coaster of emotions for that. But then also on Hunter's side, to get second and then realize, oh, wait, I am a world champion. And then be like, no, actually, you are second place, and just the roller coaster of emotion he went on. So I respect both of them for how they handled it. I think it was a really cool moment, and showed a lot about just the team. But yeah, it's just great sportsmanship from both of them.
I've never talked to a coach about this, and now I'm really curious. Do you have any idea what happened behind closed doors? You talked to the coaches after the DQ got overturned. Like, what were you guys saying? Because I have no idea what those negotiations are like, or, it seems like suddenly it's a legal matter almost. And, you've got coaches and staff who are involved in this. Do you know anything about it?
So I think now that I obviously wasn't in that, I have no power in terms of getting things overturned as a 20-year-old swimmer, but I do know that the USA coaches fight like hell for the swimmers, and that's something that means a lot to us. I mean, I think even when Annie got DQ'd, I think they argued it pretty hard, and swimming's kind of evolving to the point where you have the underwater cameras, and you can do a formal dispute. You can do that at USA meets domestically as well. So it's not just an international thing, but they're going to do whatever they can. Even if it's something blatantly obvious, they're going to fight for you, which means a ton. And in Justin's case, I don't even know what Annie got DQ'd for, but in Justin's case, where it was that he was fully submerged, I saw the replay. I obviously don't think he was fully submerged. So I'm very glad, and I don't think anyone on the team did. So that's why the coaches were like, went to I don't know what the process is with that, but I know there was a protest sent in, and luckily got overturned. So,
well, what do you think about that rule? I think it's kind of a dumb rule. Like, why is there an advantage if you're fully submerged?
I got DQ'd for that at my first zones in the 50 back, and it was the only thing I was swimming at that meet, and so I will always hate that rule. It was my first zones ever. I was 9 years old, and I got DQ'd in the 50 back, which is my only event, and I cried. I got top 8, so I would have gotten to go on the podium. I got DQ'd. I didn't understand why it was faster. I guess I understand what the basis of the rule is, that you can't go back underwater past the 15-meter rule because they don't want people abusing it. But like, from everything I've been taught, and I don't swim backstroke too often to the point where I'm ever doing backstroke finishes, but it's slower to go underwater. I mean, it's not faster. It's faster to stay on top of the water. So I think it's a dumb rule to DQ someone for it. I get what they're trying to prevent in terms of people just submerging and doing like 4 dolphin kicks on the finish. That could be faster. But if you're just going to do 1 dolphin kick and dive down, I mean, you're slowing yourself down because you have to go, instead of just going a straight line, you're going like that. So I think it's a dumb rule, but I understand why they have to have it.
Yeah.
One thing you mentioned was the team getting excited about the total medal count. And personally, before the meet, I had no idea what the record was, or that wasn't on my radar at all. Was that something that was on your guys' radar on the training camp at all, or you had an idea that you would be able to be shooting for this?
Personally, no, I did not. I had no idea. I don't know. I can't speak for everyone on the team because I know the other record was from 2017, and there were a lot of people that were on that trip. But Coach Nesty and Coach DeSorbo, 2 great head coaches. I think they were perfect for being the head coach of this trip. And they came in, I think it was day 4, going into day 4 finals, or maybe it was day 5 finals. They told us that we had a certain, I don't know how many it was. I want to say it was 23 or 21 medals through the first couple of days, which was on pace to break the previous record. And they just said, let's negative split the meet and get more. And that was something that from that point on, everyone was like, all right, our new goal is to get as many medals as possible. I don't think we were really counting medals the first couple of days. But after that team meeting, I think everyone was like, all right, got to get a medal at this point so I can contribute to negative splitting the meet and getting more medals on the back half. So I think past day 4 or 5, it was definitely a goal of ours.
Is there an asterisk on this? Because Russia wasn't there, most of Australia wasn't there, so many top swimmers were not there. Is there an asterisk on this medal count?
people can put an asterisk on it if they want. I think Team USA was swimming so well that even if Russia was there, I think we would have been fine. I think, I mean, I guess you have to look at how many bronze medals we have, and then also factor in that maybe those people would have raced and gotten up into a higher position. So I think there's a lot of what ifs with that. But
It's true.
no, I think I'm not gonna put an asterisk on it. I'm proud of what the team did, and I think that for the circumstances we raced with what we had and who we were against, and we accomplished 45 medals. So that's kind of the attitude I have towards it.
If Russia was there, Trinidad could have got a medal. Dylan came fourth. See?
Yeah.
Hey, I want to switch gears and ask you a little bit about college, NIL. You're one of the few college swimmers that would know of who has taken advantage of the NIL with some sponsorship, and yet like all of the last several months off of the football season have been about how NIL has created total chaos within college football and some of the revenue generating sports in terms of free agency and all of that. Like as someone who's like really close to it and a participant in it, I'm curious, like, what's your experience been with it? Do you feel like it's, been good and can be good for the sport, and what might you change about it?
I think it's great for the sport. I think it's great for all sports. Obviously swimming isn't at the level with it as some of those revenue sports are. And hopefully that changes eventually, more money into the sport. I think we're going in the right direction with getting more money into swimming, but I think that it provides, I think that we should be allowed to, I'm not saying we should get paid by the university. I think that scholarships are their way of paying us by allowing us to get education at a discounted price that, people would kill for. So I'm not going to go out there and say that the university should be paying their athletes. But I do think that they should allow athletes to have sponsorships and to make money. I think, especially for a sport like swimming, your window to make money and your window to be at your peak is so small relative to some other sports that you need to take advantage of it. And obviously it's for guys as well, but for girls, a lot of their windows before NIL were happening during college. And I think that hurt a lot of girls in the past, and it hurt their opportunity to maximize the amount of money they would have made. Look at Missy Franklin. I'm sure she made a lot of money from post Olympics and once she went pro, but she would have been the most marketable female swimmer ever after her 2012 performance. So I think it's a great direction that we're going in. I think that it's very easy to abuse right now for some of the for some of the revenue sports, because there's not one set rule, the NCAA hasn't come out and said these are the rules. They said we're going to leave it up to the state to decide how they're going to handle it. And since every state handles it different, it's causing all these loopholes and ways to get around things, which I think needs to change. That would be my one change that I would have, is that I want a universal set of rules for all the states. There's certain things that you're allowed to have in your contract that other states aren't allowed to have based on just whatever the state puts forward. So I think that I would like to see a universal set of rules, but if it was between keeping it how it is now and going back to how it was in the years before I got to college, I'll pick now. I think it's great for all sports, but especially swimming, where money's pretty hard to come by.
Can you see it being, swimming's already pretty top heavy. Like there's not a lot of parity in the sport where like, the like in basketball, let's say you've got the Final Four, and when the tournament comes, like anything could happen in a way. Right. Mm-hmm. But in swimming, it's like really easy at the beginning of the year to say, these are the teams that are going to be in the top 5 at NCAA. It's like, that's pretty easy to tell who's going to be at the top. So do you think that there could be a day where the halves within college swimming, like right now, like Cal and Texas, who have such a strong swimming history and a really, active alumni base, could form one of these entities associated with the university where like, they're like, hey, we want to keep Carson, but we don't want to pay his we don't want to give up a scholarship. We've only got 9.9. So you're on the NIL deal and the school gets back your scholarship to give out to other people. Like, are we headed on that route where it's like a reallocation of very few scholarships, given that it's not a full scholarship sport? Or are you, I don't know. What do you think?
I hope not. I think that it should be separate. I think that people, in terms of getting their scholarships paid for by the university, is something that they earned in high school, and that if they want to go out and make money in a different way and profit off their image, I think that the university shouldn't punish them for that. In terms of making them use that money then to pay for their education, if that's what you're asking. I would like to see, though, if it's I don't know how this would happen, but I think, like you said earlier, I would love to see swimming become a sport where any 15 teams could win the national championship. That hasn't been the case, and I don't know what the changes would be to make it like that. But I think it would make it more fun. Obviously, I love being on Texas in the time where it's basically us or one or two other teams that's going to win every year. But I think that's really fun for me. But when I'm done with college, I would love to have it be more parity and be able to root even harder for Texas, because I know it's going to be even tougher. I think that makes swimming more fun. I think it'll draw more people to the sport. Yeah. But I don't have a good solution right now on how to fix it. I haven't put too much thought into it while I'm still in college.
I want some advice on sponsorship from you. So George Ravel was sponsored by Head, and he was one of the first swimmers to be sponsored by a traditional tennis company. Mizuno is not a traditional swimming. It's golf and all these other sports. And I know Dylan told me a few weeks ago that Mizuno really treats him well. He really likes them and he gets treated well. Do you agree with that? And what do you look for when you chose your sponsor? And what advice do you have in choosing a sponsor? Because there's so much for your level. What did you look for?
So Mizuno, I can't say enough about how well Mizuno treats their athletes. I think it's a super cool company to be a part of, first off, because I mean, you are connected to so many other athletes in different sports. So while the pandemic kind of changes things a little bit, and luckily we're kind of hopefully hitting the back end sometime soon, I've really wanted to be able to meet like Austin Riley, who plays baseball for the Braves, and I'm a big baseball fan. So being able to be technically in the same company as someone like him is really cool. That obviously it's not something I looked for when I was looking for a company to sign with, but I think probably what I looked for with a company to sign with is just someone who, whichever suit or whichever brand I was going to be in the ready room, feeling most confident wearing their suit. And that for me this year, in the past 7 years, has been Mizuno. I've worn Mizuno for ever since I really started competing at a high level. So ever since I was 15, I haven't worn a different suit since then. So Mizuno is the suit I feel most comfortable and confident in. I think it's the best suit in the world right now. And so that's what I looked for. And that's I think priority number one is whatever is going to make you swim the fastest. And I think Mizuno right now is that suit for me.
All right, Carson, we got some rapid fire questions for you to finish up.
Wait.
What's the hardest race in swimming?
4 a.m.
Right away.
Easy. Olympic gold or world record?
Olympic gold.
Do you pee in the pool?
If I have to.
Who's the greatest Texas Longhorn IMer ever?
I'm going to go with Will Cone.
Will Cone. If you could only pick one IM race to do for the rest of your career, would you pick the 2 or the 4 or the 100 IM?
I would say the 4 because it's harder to be good at it.
What advice do you have for Michael Andrew on 2 IM race strategy?
Keep doing what he's doing, because he's still has the second fastest time in like 4 years. So I would say keep doing it. Yeah. Do it till it doesn't work anymore.
What advice do you have for his freestyle?
Put your head down and pray.
Greatest Foster, Jodie Foster, Foster the People, or Foster's Australian for beer?
Foster the people.
We were looking for D, Carson Foster. Okay. How many wins for the Bengals next year?
I'm going regular season 12-5, and then we make it to the Super Bowl again and lose. Unfortunately, that's my bold prediction.
John, I'm sorry. John.
We're done here.
So I hope I'm wrong. I'm setting my expectations low, though. I guess that's not low, but I'll be happily surprised.
Oh, you're crushing John's hopes and dreams. Hey, listen, if it's anything like my Falcons, they're not even going to make it back. So, you got to be happy with that. All right, final one. How often do you do social kick in practice?
Texas, we do it quite a bit. We do it probably 4 or 5 times a week.
Yes, I like to hear that. Hopefully, whenever Eddie's career comes to a close, that will stick. So hopefully he's instilling that upon Wyatt.
It's mostly Wyatt, so I think
Nice.
I'm hoping that'll continue. I think in terms of Wyatt, I hope Wyatt's the next guy. So
Nice.
he's got my vote.
Can I add one? And this goes back to the expectations people have in you, of course, so you can completely ignore me.
Uh-huh.
Who's going to be the first Texas swimmer ever to hold a world record in the 2 or the 400 IM? Because no Texan's ever done it.
Who's going to be the first?
The first Texan to ever have a world record in the 200 IM or the 400 IM.
Hopefully me. That's the plan. Hopefully me. I'm hoping it's me.
Easy. Knock that out of the park. We should have started with that one. Jeez. Yeah, man, it's coming. But yeah, so many good IMers. Jeez. Well, Carson, man, thanks for hanging out with us. We look forward to watching your big time drops and the off events at sectionals coming up. And I wish you a little bit of time off to reset, but excited to hear you're motivated, and we look forward to watching you in the future, bud. Thanks for hanging out.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me. This was fun.
Cool. That's it for this episode of Social Kick, and we'll see you next time.
See you guys.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us. If you're enjoying Social Kick, tell your friends about it. And be sure to tell us what you liked by leaving a comment, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on Instagram. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Social Kick, and you can find all of our content on our website,